Talk to me.
Few games can claim to be as unique or memorable as the original Max Payne. There are plenty of third-person shooters, and nowadays plenty of shooters with bullet time, but not a lot of games have such overwhelming charm through their tone, presentation, or writing as Remedy's masterpiece. None of this really impacts the gameplay. For many games this is extraneous fluff, but this is all so central to what makes Max Payne the classic that it is, and much of it was born from the limitations of its development.
Listen good, Candyman.
For instance, back in 2001, Remedy couldn't afford such luxuries as many complex real-time cutscenes or big-name models. However, due to Remedy's commitment to a heavy narrative, they circumvented this issue with graphic novel-style cutscenes. Photographs were taken and then edited in post, with the eponymous protagonist portrayed visually by Sam Lake, his own writer. Remedy made do with what they had. Other notable roles were filled out by co-workers, apartment neighbors, or even Sam Lake's mum as the conniving villain. This all helps Max Payne feel so wonderfully humble, like a film school project made by a ragtag bunch of wide-eyed kids. Everyone likes to remember Max Payne as a very depressing series, but this modesty helps keep the game's tone from being pitch black. The title may indulge in intricate metaphors depicting a New York laden with drugs, crime, and adverse weather conditions, but it does so with pleasure rather than cynicism. Max Payne might just be the most quotable game of all time. These panels aren't using an interesting presentation to mask shoddy writing. The line of camp between goofy and serious is written incredibly well. You're allowed to enjoy the genuinely well-crafted writing for its grimness, but also for its plethora of silly lines.
I was in a graphic novel. Funny as hell. Was the most horrible thing I could think of.
Later entries in the series don't have this. Max Payne 3 is the most obvious departure. Elaborate metaphors are jarringly replaced with frequent profanities, and the game even abandons the quintessentially noir New York for Brazil. It feels like Rockstar saw Max Payne as that depressing bullet time shooter and took things too far. It's bizarre to hear the usually philosophical Max Payne dropping F-bombs like this.
Things have gone from fine to fucked up in about a second.
The game has no levity and quite frankly clashes with the original pretty hard, not just for the lack of any graphic novels. That's like cereal without the milk, guys. It's dry without it. Being handled by Rockstar, a different team, however, this at least makes sense. The more interesting case is Remedy's Max Payne 2. After the runaway success of the original, it only stood to reason that a sequel would get more funding. Of course, this led to more bells and whistles, a neat physics engine, and more polished graphics, but this also allowed Remedy more versatility with their vision. While the voice actor remained, the titular killing machine was given the face of actor Timothy Gibbs in place of Sam Lake's wacky expressions. More notably, much of the game's story could be told through real-time cutscenes, but these work against the game's favor. Not only does this leave less room for fantastically written spiels, the quaint, low-budget comic book style has aged far more gracefully and charmingly than some robotic sex animations ever could. It seems Remedy were too eager to make their series a big-budget title, to capitalize on the depressing noir atmosphere, to be taken seriously with real actors and real animated cutscenes, that they forgot just how much of the original's appeal stems from its constraints. Despite what Sam Lake says about fixing what's not so good, the way Max Payne worked within its limitations gives it a timeless quality. It's not bogged down by its age in any facet other than graphics. Sam Lake seems to recognize the iconic nature of his ridiculous faces he lent to the character, but I have to ask if it's more to do with Remedy making fun of their humble past rather than realizing that face played a huge part in the fun of it all.
Don't answer that. A rhetorical question.
2 may have wacky physics and 3 may have blockbuster set pieces, but neither of these sequels quite carry the spirit of the original. Max Payne is top notch. Its simple but challenging gameplay, memorable writing, and a unique presentation work in unison to create an unpretentious whole package that's more than the sum of its parts. This series goes to show that success doesn't correlate with how much money you plug into a project. In a time when much smaller endeavors are more abundant and more prone to success, it's important not to lose sight of what makes your project yours in attempts to be like the big boys. Max Payne shows that an identity can come from adversity. You don't gain style from budget, but the circumstances that force you to put love, sweat, and tears into a project.
Vinny Gognitti. Just the man I've been killing to see. Fuck off with the fucking wisecracks. Really, I'm not in the mood.